Surely you remember the hilarious moments and unforgettable chemistry of Jack, Chrissy, and Janet from Three's Company, a TV classic that defined the 70s and 80s. But behind the laughter and charm were real-life struggles, heartbreak, and tragedy. Many of these beloved stars faced accidents, illness, and emotional pain that few ever knew about. In today's video, we'll uncover the hidden stories behind the smiles and honor the legacy they left behind. What do you think about the challenges these stars faced off-screen? Share your thoughts below. If you admire their strength and resilience, comment 1. If you see it differently, comment 0. And don't forget to like and subscribe to keep exploring the untold stories behind Hollywood's golden years. Suzanne Marie Summers, born on October 16, 1946 in California, rose to become one of America's biggest television stars in the late 1970s thanks to her role as Chrissy Snow on Three's Company. From 1977 to 1981, during the ages of 31 to 35, Suzanne captured the hearts of Americans with her radiant beauty and Tragically sense of humor. However, behind that sweet smile was a life filled with hardships and emotional turmoil that few people knew about. Suzanne grew up in a poor family with an alcoholic and abusive father. At the age of 17, a traumatic incident occurred when her father tore her prom dress and humiliated her. However, Suzanne refused to stay silent. She fought back, striking her father with a tennis racket. It was a defining moment that revealed the inner strength and resilience of a young girl. At just 19, Suzanne entered a rushed marriage due to an unplanned pregnancy, but the relationship quickly ended in divorce. Living in poverty, she faced serious financial struggles and was once arrested for writing bad checks. In a desperate effort to pay hospital bills after her son was injured, Suzanne posed for semi-nude photos, a decision that later sparked controversy when Playboy published the images without her full consent after she had already become a rising star. However, the biggest shock in Suzanne's career came in 1980 when she demanded equal pay to John Ritter on Three's Company. ABC refused her request and retaliated by reducing her screen time, isolating her, and eventually firing her. Once one of the brightest stars on television, Suzanne found herself blacklisted. Years later, she admitted that her fight for equal pay had effectively destroyed her TV career at that time. Nevertheless, she made a remarkable comeback in the 1990s with the successful sitcom Step by Step, and later reinvented herself as a successful entrepreneur and health author. However, her views on alternative cancer treatments, particularly bioidentical hormone therapy, faced criticism from the medical community. Despite the backlash, Suzanne remained steadfast in her belief in holistic medicine, even though it may have contributed to her tragic decline. In 2000, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. After undergoing surgery and radiation, Suzanne chose to decline chemotherapy, a decision that sparked much controversy. Although she lived for another 23 years, the cancer recurred in early 2023. Suzanne passed away on October 15, 2023, just one day before her 77th birthday at her home in Palm Springs. Jonathan Southworth Ritter, born on September 17, 1948, became a household name to millions of American viewers thanks to his role as Jack Tripper in the sitcom Three's Company. He began the role in 1977 at the age of 28, portraying a clumsy yet Tragically culinary student who constantly found himself in hilarious and awkward situations while living with two female roommates. His masterful comedic Tragically and natural charisma made John Ritter a beloved icon in American television comedy. However, behind the smiles and laughter he brought to audiences, Ritter's life held unexpected darkness and struggles that not everyone knew about. From a young age, he faced a condition called coloboma. In his right eye, a disorder that seriously affected his vision. Despite this, he didn't let it stop him and persevered in pursuing his acting career. John Ritter's journey to success was far from easy, and the price of fame was high. His personal life was also filled with challenges. He went through a divorce from his first wife, Nancy Morgan, after nearly 20 years together. Along with the demanding work schedule and the stresses of his profession, physical and mental exhaustion took a significant toll on his health. Despite everything, he always gave his best to his craft, delivering memorable and beloved comedic performances. On September 11, 2003, while filmmaking G8, Simple Rules at Walt Disney Studios, John Ritter suddenly collapsed from severe chest pain. Initially diagnosed as a heart attack, doctors immediately began treatment, but his condition rapidly worsened. At 10:48 p.m. that evening, he passed away at the age of 54. The true cause was later confirmed to be an aortic aneurysm, a dangerous condition often misdiagnosed, which claimed his life just 6 days before his 55th birthday. John Ritter's sudden death shocked and saddened Hollywood deeply. John's colleagues, especially his longtime co-star Joyce DeWitt, mourned deeply and described him as unforgettable and dearly loved. The final episodes he filmed were dedicated in his memory, and the entire direction of 8 Simple Rules changed following his passing. At the time of his death, John Ritter's net worth was estimated at around $20 million, a testament to a career built on heart humor and relentless dedication to his craft. John Ritter's contributions to the entertainment industry, particularly in comedy, will always be remembered and continue to live on in the hearts of audiences. Jesse Donald Knotts, better known as Don Knotts, was born on July 21, 1924 in Morgantown, West Virginia. At the age of 55, he joined the cast of the popular comedy Three's Company, 1979 to 1984, as Ralph Furley, an eccentric landlord who was overly confident, always dressed flamboyantly, and fancied himself quite the ladies' man. This role helped him capture a new generation of fans, continuing the legendary success he had enjoyed on The Andy Griffith Show in the 1960s. However, behind Don Knotts' ever-smiling face and comedic performances was a life marked by deep emotional wounds and chronic illness. Born into a poor family, Don grew up in a stressful environment where his father suffered from schizophrenia and often threatened his children with a knife. This harsh upbringing caused him to live in constant fear, becoming a shy and withdrawn child. When Don was 13, his father passed away, leaving behind a boy deeply wounded emotionally. The void left by his father and the emotional scars stayed with him throughout his life. Despite his ability to bring laughter to millions, Don Knotts struggled with severe anxiety and depression. This significantly impacted both his personal relationships and professional life. Don's love life was also full of challenges. Both of his marriages to Catherine Metz and Laurel Schachner ended in divorce, largely due to his unpredictable temperament and ongoing health anxieties. Although friends described him as a charming ladies' man, Don seemed never to find lasting happiness in love. Later in life, Don Knotts battled serious illnesses. He suffered from lung cancer and chronic pneumonia, which progressively weakened his health. His vision also deteriorated severely due to macular degeneration, leaving him nearly blind. Despite everything, Don continued working, mainly lending his voice to animated films like Chicken Little 2005 and Air Buddies 2006. However, he gradually withdrew from public life. Don Knotts passed away on February 24, 2006 at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles at the age of 81. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated at around $20 million accumulated from a career spanning over 50 years in television, film, and advertising. Although his life was filled with challenges and pain, His contributions to the entertainment industry remain an unforgettable legacy. Audrey Lindley, born on September 24, 1918 in Los Angeles, became a television icon through her role as Helen Roper, the witty yet frustrated wife, in Three's Company, 1977-1979, and The Ropers. She took on this role at the age of 59, portraying a character who was both humorous and profound, a woman trapped in a loveless marriage, sighing at her husband's indifference, yet revealing a world of deep emotions beneath her tightly curled wig and signature weary shoulder shrug. Lindley's career was far from easy. After stepping away from the stage to raise 5 children, she endured many challenging years trying to balance family life with her passion for the arts. Despite her success in the industry, she constantly faced personal challenges. Her first husband, Hardy Olm, passed away in 1970, leaving her a single mother with heavy responsibilities. Her second marriage to actor James Whitmore seemed like a fresh start, but ended in divorce in 1979, the same year she left the Ropers cast. 2 failed marriages coupled with the burdens of single motherhood forged in her a quiet resilience alongside a lingering sadness. Although No Macon aided for a Golden Globe for her role, as Helen Lindley's career was mostly defined by supporting roles. Often cast as single mothers or older women forgotten by time, these roles partly reflected the reality of Audrey's own life as she quietly battled leukemia in the late 1970s. Despite her declining health, she continued working until the very end. While preparing to film a new episode of the sitcom Sybil, she was hospitalized at Cedars-Sinai and never returned to the set. Audrey Lindley passed away on October 16, 1997, at the age of 79. Her ashes were buried beside her parents at Woodlawn Cemetery in Santa Monica. At the time of her death, her net worth was estimated to be around $3 million. Norman Fell, born Norman Noah Feldeld, on March 24, 1924 in Philadelphia, began portraying Stanley Roper in the popular comedy Three's Company at the age of 53 from 1977 to 1979. Stanley Roper was a conservative, grumpy landlord who often avoided his wife Helen's affections, but never failed to make audiences laugh with his scowling expression, dry, sarcastic remarks, and distinctive shuffling walk. Although a humorous character on screen, Norman Fell's real life was filled with loneliness and sorrow. He went through 3 marriages, none of which lasted long. His first marriage to Dolores Pecuse ended after just 4 years. His next 2 marriages also did not last long, although he had 2 daughters with his second wife and adopted a son with his last wife. While Norman brought laughter to millions of viewers in real life, he was a quiet, reserved man, distant even from those closest to him, an invisible gap that fame could not bridge. Despite being a television star, Norman's personal life was marked by years of struggling with loneliness and an inability to find lasting connection in love and family. As age and health declined, Norman Fell faced serious illnesses. On Thanksgiving Day in 1998, he became too weak to get out of bed on his own. After being admitted to the hospital, he was diagnosed with multiple myeloma, a serious and incurable bone marrow cancer given his age. Within less than 3 weeks, the disease progressed rapidly, and he passed away on December 14, 1998, at the Country House Film and Television Hospital in Woodland Hills, Los Angeles. At the time of his death, Norman Fell's net worth was estimated at around $5 million, reflecting a long and hard-working career spanning from Ocean's 11 to The Graduate, with the highlight being his role as Stanley Roper in Three's Company. His contributions to entertainment, though not flashy, remain remembered and honored. Ann Wedgeworth, born January 21, 1934 in Texas, was a sharp and captivating actress, best known for her role as Lana Shields in Three's Company. In this role, she portrayed an older widowed and bold woman who openly flirted and longed for affection. When she joined the show in 1979 at age 45, she brought a fresh wave to the series, embodying confident femme-making maturity and charm. However, this role also marked the beginning of unexpected backstage tensions. Anne Wedgeworth's life off-screen was no less turbulent. Her first marriage to actor Rip Torn ended after 6 years. She was left with a daughter from that marriage. Later, she married director Ernie Martin and had another child, though she kept her private life fairly discreet and rarely shared details about it. While she stayed away from scandals, the tensions at work and behind the scenes told a different story she had to face. Her role as Lana Shields on Three's Company was abruptly cut after just 9 episodes, revealing a harsh truth. Even a Tony Award-winning actress could be sidelined without any explanation. Wedgeworth later admitted that she herself requested to terminate the contract as her role was increasingly marginalized. This decision marked a turning point in her career as she realized that her path forward was no longer clear. From then on, Anne Wedgeworth focused on supporting roles, often playing mothers' aunts or older women. Though these were smaller parts, she always brought depth and emotion to each character, even if she didn't receive the recognition she deserved from the public. A chronic illness, which she never publicly disclosed, forced her into early retirement. Anne Wedgeworth spent her final years in a nursing home in North Bergen, New Jersey, away from the spotlight and the audience who once adored her. She passed away in 2017. Peter Mark Richmond, born Marvin Jack Richmond on April 16, 1927, is widely known for his role as Reverend Luther Snow, father of Chrissy Snow, in the sitcom Three's Company. In the late 1970s, when Richmond was in his early 50s, he created a striking contrast between the strict morals of a Macon Easter and the free-spirited lifestyle of the younger generation, leading to moments that were both humorous and thought-provoking for viewers. Few know that before becoming Macon G, a familiar face on American television with over 130 roles, Peter Mark Richmond was once a pharmacist. He pursued the profession on the advice of his older brother after losing his father at the age of 16. However, the spotlight soon drew him in a different direction, from supporting roles on television to the Broadway stage and dozens of appearances in notable films. Although he never achieved A-list stardom, he maintained a steady presence for over half a century, appearing in shows like Dynasty Santa Barbara, Star Trek: The Next Generation, and many others. Despite being a familiar face on television, Peter Mark Richmond lived a simple and private life. He was married to his only wife, actress Helen Landis. He married her in 1953 and lived with her until the end of his life. They had 5 children together, including Lucas Richmond, a renowned conductor. In his later years, his health declined due to age and heart issues, but he continued writing scripts and debating art with close friends. Despite his weakening health, Peter Mark Richmond remained sharp until he passed away on January 14, 2021, in Woodland Hills, California, at the age of 93. His net worth was estimated at around $1 million, a modest sum that reflected the simple lifestyle he chose. His legacy lies not only in the memorable roles he played, but also in a life fully dedicated to family art and persistent devotion to his acting career. Robert Mandan, born on February 2, 1932, was a veteran actor best known for his role as James Bradford in Three's a Crowd in 1984. At that time, he was 52 years old and played a wealthy conservative father who strongly opposed his daughter's relationship with Jack Tripper. Although the show lasted only 1 season, Mandan proved his talent by turning a supporting character into a memorable figure that left a lasting impression on the audience. However, behind the spotlight, Robert Mandan's life was a quiet battle against an invisible enemy, cancer. He kept his diagnosis private for many years and never revealed the exact type of cancer he was battling. Instead of publicly discussing his illness, he quietly sought treatment and occasionally appeared in guest roles in popular TV shows like Star Trek: Days of Our Lives and General Hospital. Friends and colleagues shared that Mandan went through several periods of remission. Although his career did not reach the peak of fame, he maintained a steady presence in the entertainment industry through roles in long-running TV series and national theater tours. His personal life was marked by an uncommon dedication. Robert Mandan was married to Sher Dixon, a therapist, from 1963 until his death. For more than half a century, they maintained a quiet, private marriage away from the public eye. In his later years, Mandan's health gradually declined, and he passed away in Los Angeles on April 29, 2018, at the age of 86. After his death, his remains were cremated in a private ceremony true to his quiet, reserved nature. Although he never became an A-list star, Robert Mandan left behind an estimated net worth of around $5 million, largely due to his roles in long-running TV shows and national theater tours. Robert Mandan's life, though not that of an A-list celebrity, left a lasting impact with its quiet dignity and understated contributions. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave your thoughts in the comments and hit the notification bell to stay updated on new videos. Fran Ryan, born on November 29, 1916 in Los Angeles, was a distinguished actress known for her role as Grace in Three's Company in 1981 at the age of 65. Although she appeared in just a single episode, she left a lasting impression with her rustic charm, straightforward manner, and unmistakable wit. These qualities helped her build a career spanning over 50 years, with memorable roles on both television and film. However, behind the image of a humorous grandmother, Fran Ryan endured a series of heartbreaking tragedies throughout her life. Pain only resilience and determination could help her overcome. In 1949, Fran married Walter Kenneth Wayne, and 2 years later, while she was pregnant with their first child, she received the news that her husband had died in a plane crash piloted by himself. It was an unimaginable loss, and she had to face this pain in utter loneliness and despair. Despite going through immense grief, Fran decided to continue living and raise her child alone. Later, she remarried Howard Schaefer in January 1953, hoping to find new joy and happiness. However, fate remained cruel. Howard died in a mysterious plane crash in Oregon just a few months later. Irene Tedrow, born on August 3, 1907, became a familiar face on screen with her role as Martha in the episode The Older Woman of Three's Company in 1979, when she was 72 years old. Although it was a supporting role, Irene portrayed a deeply humane character, an elderly, stern, experienced woman carrying a hidden loneliness. This role reflected her real-life story, a resilient and emotional woman who constantly fought through life's hardships. Irene's personal life was far from easy. She married William Kent, a man who fled Nazi Germany to seek freedom in the United States. Their marriage caused no scandals, but it also didn't attract public attention. They had 2 children. Roger and Enid, and Irene often had to sacrifice her personal happiness to pursue her art. As a mother and the financial backbone in a high-pressure industry like film, she endured a lot of stress, especially being known only for supporting roles. As she got older, Irene felt increasingly exhausted by her career. She suffered a stroke in 1989, a harsh turning point that ended her acting career. For the next 6 years, she lived with declining health. Struggling with the long-term effects of her stroke, and the isolation that often comes with being forgotten by the very industry that once supported her, Irene Tedrow nonetheless continued to leave a strong impression on audiences with her supporting roles, from Dennis the Menace to Perry Mason. She is especially remembered for her portrayal of Eleanor Roosevelt's grandmother in Eleanor and Franklin. This role earned her an Emmy nomination at the age of 69, proving that age is not a barrier in an artistic career. Irene Tedrow showed that dedication is never in vain, even if recognition comes late. Don Porter, born on September 24, 1912, in Miami, Oklahoma, was a veteran actor best known for his role as Fremont Tripper, Jack Tripper's uncle in Three's Company. Although his role appeared in only one episode when he was between 65 and 68 years old, Don left a lasting impression on audiences with his dignified presence and warm, deep voice. Despite the brevity of his role, his performances created unforgettable moments for viewers. However, behind the spotlight was a quiet life full of ups and downs. Don once lied about his age to join the Oklahoma National Guard at just 14 years old. A sign that he was always ready to face challenges from a young age. During World War II, he didn't serve as a combatant, but became a battlefield photographer capturing life-and-death moments on the front lines. That experience shaped him into a strong and resilient spirit. After the war, Don continued his career in the arts, moving into theater and television, appearing in over 200 stage plays and dozens of TV shows over nearly 50 years. However, his long marriage to actress Peggy Converse was not easy. His busy career often kept him away from home, and later on, Don admitted that he sacrificed many precious things in his personal life to maintain his acting career. As he reached 80 years old, his health began to decline. He suffered from heart disease and experienced several mild heart failures until he could no longer continue acting. On February 11, 1997, Don Porter passed away at his home in Beverly Hills at the age of 84. The cause of death was confirmed to be heart disease and age-related complications. Although not as pro-make-and-ent as an A-list star, Don Porter left a memorable legacy in the arts with an estimated net worth of around $2 million, mainly from his work on Broadway television and film. Dick Sargent, born Richard Stanford Cox on April 19, 1930 in California, was a familiar face on American television. He appeared in Three's Company as Lloyd Cross, and though it was a small guest role, it left a distinct impression on audiences. However, Dick Sargent is best remembered as the second Darren Stevens on the classic series Bewitched, replacing Dick York from 1969 to 1972. With his gentle smile and innate wit, he quickly became a beloved figure in the 1970s. However, behind the on-screen humor and an impressive career, Dick Sargent's life was filled with tragedy and loss. For over 20 years, he lived with a long-term partner whose name was never publicly disclosed. But tragedy struck in 1979 when his partner suddenly died from a cerebral hemorrhage. This loss plunged Dick Sargent into a depression, though he kept his grief private and continued to act while quietly contributing to charitable causes. In 1991, despite the prevailing social stigma, Dick Sargent publicly came out as gay. It was a courageous act and a major step forward in creating a safer space and fostering acceptance for the LGBTQ+ community. He once shared, "I'm a retrospective role model," a comment that was both humorous and heartfelt. It was a message to young LGBTQ+ people that they were not alone in the fight for rights and acceptance. In 1989, Dick Sargent was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Despite aggressive treatment, the disease quietly metastasized and took a toll on his health. In early 1994, his condition declined severely, and he passed away on July 8, 1994, at the age of 64. His body was cremated, ending a journey where the public had only witnessed the surface of his life and career. Dick Sargent's net worth at the time of his death was estimated to be around $1 million primarily from bewitched other television work and commercial appearances. Dick O'Neill, born August 29, 1928, was one of the familiar faces on American television throughout the 1970s to the 1990s. He was particularly notable for his recurring role as Hector Furley in Three's Company, which he began at the age of 51. With his Irish fatherly appearance and a warm, authoritative voice, Dick O'Neill was often cast in roles such as judges, police officers, or strict fathers, making a strong impression on audiences. Although he primarily took on supporting roles, he successfully portrayed characters with depth and reliability. However, few knew that behind the reliable and strong image on screen was a private life full of challenges that Dick rarely shared. His family life was tied to actress Jackie Shaw, whom he met while working on the film The Sound of Music. They had 3 daughters, Megan, Gillian, and Caitlin, and a home that seemed peaceful. However, his acting career, with its long trips and months of filmmaking created many challenges for their family life. Dick O'Neill once admitted that his biggest regret in life wasn't losing roles or failing to achieve brilliant success, but rather losing precious moments with his family that he could never get back. His busy life with film projects kept him away from home for long periods. Priscilla Merill, born June 4, 1927 in Boston, was a familiar face on American television during the 1970s and 1980s. She was known for her role as Mrs. Snow, the strict and somewhat conservative mother of Chrissy in Three's Company, a role she took on in her early 50s. Although it was a supporting role, Priscilla Merill's presence brought a unique sophistication and flavor to the show. However, her most memorable career role was that of Edie Grant, the strong yet emotional wife of Lou Grant on the Mary Tyler Moore Show, a performance that left a deep impression on audiences. In her personal life, Priscilla Merill lived a quiet and private life with her husband, Paul Bryson. They married in 1954, had no children, and lived a simple life in Port Hueneme, California. Despite being a television star, she did not seek the public spotlight, choosing a simple and discreet life instead. However, in the final years of her life, Priscilla Merill struggled with a series of chronic health issues. A kidney infection, often considered a Macon or ailment, became severe when it turned chronic, causing her to endure prolonged pain and multiple hospitalizations. Despite receiving care at Cedars-Sinai, she was unable to recover and ultimately passed away on November 9, 1994, at the age of 67. Emmeline Henry, born November 1, 1928, was a familiar face on American television during the 1960s and 1970s. She was known for her role as J.C. Braddock on Three's Company, Chrissy's tough but sharp boss. Although she only appeared in a few episodes of that show, Emmeline Henry is best remembered for the charm and unique comedic style she brought to the role of Amanda Bellows on I Dream of Jeannie, a role that spanned 33 episodes. While her career was defined by comedic roles, Emmeline's life was not always peaceful. She began her career as a teenage singer, moving to Hollywood with the dream of conquering the musical theater stage. However, her Broadway ambitions changed when directors recognized her natural comedic talent. Emmeline once stood in for Carol Channing on stage and appeared in several pro-Macon NT shows, See Macon Gly, finding her place in the spotlight. However, Emmeline's marriage to actor Mark Roberts lasted only 5 years, ending in divorce in 1974. With no children and never remarrying, Emmeline lived alone in her final years. Although her career continued to flourish on screen, her personal life was full of challenges. In 1979, while still working in television, Emmeline began to experience debilitating symptoms such as persistent headaches, dizziness, and disorientation. Doctors diagnosed her with a malignant brain tumor, an illness that would change her life forever. Despite undergoing surgery, Emmeline's illness progressed rapidly. She passed away on October 8, 1979, just 3 weeks after her final television appearance at the age of 50. Her death came suddenly, leaving a significant void in the hearts of her audience and loved ones. Emmeline Henry was buried at Holy Cross Cemetery in Culver City, where she rests after a life dedicated to her art. Willis Macon McElmon, born on December 30th, 1932, is a familiar face to television audiences for his role as Roland Wood, the strict father of Janet on Three's Company. Although he only appeared in a few episodes, he quickly made a strong impression with his traditionally stern demeanor, shaping the character into the epitome of an old-school father figure. With a cold exterior that concealed deep emotions, Macon McElmon left an indelible mark on viewers. However, behind that powerful image was a life full of internal conflict. After serving in the military during the Korean War, he returned home and helped establish the Front Street Theater in his hometown of Memphis, an effort to bring the arts closer to the local community. These contributions partly reflected his intense love for the arts and his dedication to the industry. Macon McElmon began a promising Broadway career with productions such as The Last of Mrs. Lincoln and An Enemy of the People. Although he broke into Hollywood with his role in Deliverance 1972, he was never given a leading role, typically being cast in supporting parts as powerful men or she-Macon G characters. Macon McElmon may not have been an A-list star, but his contributions to the entertainment industry are still remembered and celebrated. His roles, though small, were impactful, and stand as a testament to his unwavering dedication and commitment to his craft. How do you feel about television stars like Macon McElmon, those who weren't household names but still left a profound mark? Share your thoughts in the comments section below. If you feel Macon McElmon's story deserves to be remembered, leave a 1 in the comments. If you see it differently, leave a 0. We hope you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to support the channel.